Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to present today. It's a pleasure. Shibumi is a venture capital fund that has been in existence for 5 years now. We are a fully owned subsidiary of Gulermak Heavy Industries, a 64-year-old construction company specializing in transport. We build bridges, metros, tunnels in countries ranging from India to Dubai, to Poland, Sweden, and we're pursuing work as far east as the Philippines and as far west as the United Kingdom. We invest mainly in hardware and mainly in things that affect our construction sites. A friend of mine once remarked that there is more technology in your $30,000 car than there is in the $200 million bridge that car is driving over, and that should really scare you. If we consider construction, we're the second most least digitized industry on the planet, and that is only behind hunting and fishing. So with that, I will show you a few examples of what construction technology looks like today. At Shibumi, we look at process, we look at materials, and we look at how to make those ingredients and those processes more better and more sustainable. This is an example of our first portfolio company. This is X3E, a French 3D printing company, which produces ultra high performance concrete extruded out of a head of a 7-axis robot. We have systems operating in Japan, China, United States, France, and the United Arab Emirates. This is an example of a digital innovation that has come out of computational design. If we look at design in buildings, we have seen significant advancement in design tools that are digital. We have not necessarily seen advancement take place where the digital indeed meets the physical. If we look at Aquatrace, our second portfolio company, we're able to monitor the performance of waterproofing membranes on roofs. If I was to ask by a show of digital hands, if you've ever had a leak in your roof, I suspect that I would see many go up. The problem with roofs and with leaks in roofs is that we don't know when they take place, and moreover, we don't know where the leak started. With this technology, we're able to identify in real time if a waterproofing membrane has been compromised, and moreover, where did it happen? This is especially important in critical infrastructure such as data centers or power stations. This product is now being rolled out on a global basis. We're invested in software tracking issues of time and cost on job sites. This was our first investment that we made off of the Hello Tomorrow community. This is a very difficult and challenging technology referred to as airborne wind technology. If you can see on the screen, there's a boxed wing drone that has a tether attached to it. That tether is attached to a ground station, and using high altitude winds, we're able to generate electricity. This is one example of a complicated technology requiring significant capital and moreover, significant time and patience. I heard my colleague react earlier on expectations that one has of startups. I think patience is one thing that an investor must bring because things typically cost more and take longer than one initially expects. Skypole has certainly been one example of that. LightYX is an Israeli startup that digitizes designs so that they are physically projected onto a surface area, removing the need for conventional chalk or spray. In this case, LightYX is able to reduce times, a job that would normally take 15 days down to 2 days. eConcrete is a marine engineering company also based in Israel that's able to promote ocean life by providing an admixture into concrete. The concrete is then made to promote marine life, flora and fauna, becoming carbon neutral, and also enhancing the performance of concrete itself. We'll continue on, but you can see most of the things that we do are heavy into materials. Sustainable is an example of an engineered stone company that is replacing traditional stone or engineered stone by using recycled PET as a primary component. In fact, we're able to bring recycled content up to 50+% with sustainable materials. And as you can see from some of the images, we can produce almost any stone-like material onto the surface with significant gains in performance for stain resistance, for scratch resistance, while at the same time removing 100 plastic bottles from the ocean for every meter square of surface that we're able to produce. I'll now jump from sustainable, take the screen off, and talk a little bit more about what we look for in startups. At our core, we look to see if a startup has a solution to a problem, and if indeed there is a problem. We all know that water and leaking roofs can be a problem. We then look to see if that solution that's been applied is cost effective, robust, if it makes sense overall to where it's something worth investing in. As for our interest in Japan, we'd be very interested in looking at Japanese startups. Our focus to date has predominantly been Europe, Israel, and North America, but we'd be very interested in chatting more and looking at the Japanese ecosystem and learning more about what opportunities you look for. We would also look for potential collaboration for Japanese partners as well. How could we potentially co-invest with Japanese venture capital groups or fellow corporate venture capital groups as we look to bring Japanese technology into Europe and some of our international operations, but also bring our own technology into Japan? I think that if there's one defining word that we have at Shibumi, it is ecosystem. And just because we don't make a direct investment does not mean that we don't contribute or try and help out the ecosystem. We look at companies in a range of geographies. We refer to this as geographic arbitrage sometimes. A company in Poland might have a strategic advantage for coding and software development, and we're able to do things 3 to 4 times cheaper, for example, than one might be able to do in the United States. You can then be more cost competitive with that startup. So we always see opportunities based on what a country's assets are. In Turkey, for example, we have a very low cost of labor. So we look to identify opportunities where we can bring industry or manufacturing to Turkey, utilizing our low cost base. Hello Tomorrow has been a very valuable partner. If we look, over 50% of our investment portfolio over the past 5 years have come from Hello Tomorrow companies. And so we truly value Hello Tomorrow as a partner. If it's a privilege to finally speak to the Hello Tomorrow community at large, and I would very much welcome the opportunity to speak with you and to collaborate further. I will speak a little bit about X-Tree. This is an example of a Roche-Beaubois table, which retails for about 15,000 euros. At the same time, X-Tree is also able to make a storm water drainage, so a very functional element of water collection, showing both the ability to produce something that is quite beautiful and aesthetic, while at the same time very functional and practical for the built environment's infrastructure. I think that just about concludes our slides. But as you can see, you know, we invest in a range of technologies looking to improve mainly upon efficiency and environment in our buildings. If we consider the concrete industry, for example, or the cement industry, something that we look that X-Tree obviously has a specific expertise in. If concrete were a planet, it would be the 3rd largest emitter, or if concrete were a country, excuse me, it would be the 3rd largest emitter of carbon on the planet, second behind only the United States and China. So when we do invest in this business, we are very much investing with an eye towards not only improving efficiency in buildings, but reducing carbon in some of the most carbon intensive industries on the planet. The same goes, for example, for Light YX, which we are looking at. When we build right the first time, and when we are able to build more accurately, we find ourselves cutting down on waste and cutting down on cost. When you're able to take a project from 15 days down to 2, that's 13 days less of trucks driving. That's 13 days less of man hours. And so when you consider these numbers, they are quite considerable. So when we look at challenges facing our environment and our planet, we very much view construction as somewhere that has, one, the largest footprint out of all industries, and two, the most need for efficiency, simply because we are so behind digitally. If you look at a doctor's office in 1950 and you compared it to a doctor's office today, you could not tell the same, or you could not recognize them. Obviously, 1950, the tools would be very rudimentary and there would be no digital diagnostic tools or electronics. Whereas today, if you were to look at a construction site and compare it to 1950, the truth is that it would not look very different at all. You would still see men and women manually applying block work or form work. The clothes might have changed a bit, and some of the tools on site, such as an iPhone, might have changed a bit. But predominantly, we have not innovated our construction sites or our building spaces. So we very much see the need to do this. Again, thank you very, very much for your time. I hope that we have the opportunity to connect in the near future. We would very much welcome hearing your ideas and your thoughts. If you have startups that are looking for investment, we would also be interested in sharing opportunities with fellow investors, and hope that you can share those opportunities with us. Again, thank you very, very much for your time.